All right, last time we finished up putting in our basic HTML, then we put a background of yellow just so to make sure that the um, styles CSS is connected to the HTML page. Now we want to go ahead and get this navigation looking like we're expecting it to look at the end. So let's go ahead and what we want to do is we want it to look like this. So looking a lot different. So let's go ahead and do some styles so we can get it to change from one to the other. So let's open up our thing. One thing I wanted you to do is I didn't in the last video, I'm not sure I put the title in or the content. So I have that in the notes. That's what you need to go ahead and add also. And let's go to styles.css. And right now we have that background yellow. So let's go ahead and start with our nav because that's the next thing we have in our HTML. So we'll do nav. And what we want to do is we want to give it a background color. And we want that background color to be navy. So let me go ahead and might as well get this up. HTML color codes, my favorite website for colors. And again, I use names because I don't need 16.7 million different kinds of colors. 140 different colors is just fine with me. And we'll go down to, let's see, here's navy. So we'll go ahead and use this and that. And again, this should be lowercase, that's why it's white, but it still works, even if it was uppercase. Uh, well, I guess it's going to be white anyway. Let's see. And then we want down here, I'm going to put navy blue and then comment it. I do this because as I'm reusing colors, hold down the control key and do slash. If I want to use that navy blue again, then I can come up here and figure out because a lot of times I can't remember what the RGB. That's not right. That's why. That's why it's white. RGB. There we go. Should be aqua. All right, and let's do a file, save all, and let's go back to our no. Let's go back to our sandwich shop and refresh, and there it is. You can see that it's blue and purple. That's because I've clicked on some of these links to test them out. So links are blue, visited links are purple, and we'll be revisiting that in a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to make these into buttons, and we've done that before. So let's go ahead and do that again. We remember that the line code li, these li's are block level elements, and that's why they're stacked one on top of the other. And what we want to do is turn them into inline block elements. So nav ul li, that's the selector. Looking for a li inside a ul inside a nav. We could have actually done shortcut and nav li. That would have worked just as well. But I like being specific. And what we want to do here is we want to display inline block. Whoops. And then we'll do file, save all, and refresh. And now it's nice and narrow. So we're going to need to do something else. What we want to do now is we're going to work on the anchor tag inside these. So you can see we have anchor tags inside. That's what we want to style, because if we style the LIs to make them buttons, then still the text is the only thing that's going to be clickable. And we want the entire box to be clickable. So that's what we're going to be using. Styling next to the nav. So nav, ul, li, a. And again, if I did nav a, it would work. There's a unwritten rule that you shouldn't have any more than 4 of these. So if I was going to some side, maybe inside the A was a span tag or something like that, I would probably cut out some of these ULLIs, but we won't ever go over 4. And even if we do, we go to 5, I'm going to break the rule because I like the specification of telling exactly what I'm trying to select. So for this one, we need a display of block. And that's going to make it so that each of those anchors is going to take up the entire container, not just the text. Then I'm going to need to add some padding to it to make it into a box. So we're going to add some padding. And we're going to do 10 pixels up and down. So it's going to actually be a rectangle. 10 pixels up and down, and 45 pixels left and right. If we did 10 by 10, it would be a box, or 45 by 45, it would be a box. But since it's 10 and 45, it's going to be a rectangle. In order for us to be able to see it, we're going to turn the background color to white. And in the notes, I show it as just the color white, and that's fine. White and black can be just typed out, but if we want to be perfect, we'll do RGB, and then that would be 255 to 55, whoops, not 266, 55 to 55. And again, just in case I don't know, it is white. And I'll go ahead and select that, hold down the control key and press slash. And the other thing I want to do is the text will be kind of small inside that big box. So let's make the text bigger. So we'll do font size for that. And the font size 1EM is 16 pixels. We're going to do 1.5 EM. So that means instead of 16, it'll be 16 plus 8, so it'll be 24 pixels in size. All right, now that we've done all that, we'll do File and Save All, and then refresh. Boom, and now we have our boxes. So everything is looking pretty good. All right, we'll notice that there's a bigger gap here than there is here. So we want to go ahead and narrow that gap. That gap is actually there because if you remember when we use a UL, there is 40 pixels of padding, and we can see that by going into our inspector, right mouse click, and then click inspect. And if we go into the nav and the UL, you can see there's 40 pixels of padding inline start. And okay, why they call it that is actually left padding. So if we go ahead and change the left padding, let's go ahead and do that. We so far have not selected the nav UL, and that's up above nav UL LI and nav. So we want to keep everything in order. So children are below parent, nav, no, nav UL. And in that, we're going to do padding left. And we're going to make it half as much, 20 pixels. We don't want to go all the way over to the left side, then have to add padding or whatever. So we'll just do padding left, and we'll do File, Save All, and refresh. And you can see now it moves on over. So we didn't want to move it all the way over, but we want to get rid of some of that space. And the next thing we want to do is we don't want the nav to be sitting here now. If I wanted more blue space, I have a couple of things I can do. One is I could add padding inside the nav. So if I add padding inside the nav, it will move these up and down and give me some of the purple there. And we can see that it'll make it more like boxes. Or I can make margin for the LIs, and that will push it out also. So like I said, there's a dozens of good ways of getting things done, and an infinite number of bad ways of doing it. So we're going to do it by adding margin to each of those buttons. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we're going to add it to the LI. That's what we want pushing up and down. And since it's an inline block, it'll work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do margin. We're going to use the shortcut. So the first number is up and down. We're going to do 10 pixels up, 10 pixels down, and 0 left and right. We don't want any left and right margin. If we wanted to push these apart, then we would use margin to push them apart. But for now, we're going to leave them the way they are. File, save all. And we'll come back here and refresh. And you can see now that we have those buttons and we have the 10 pixels up and down to keep them apart. This space in between is the magic space that is placed there whenever we make inline block elements. So we didn't have to add any margin to move those things apart. I call it magic because you won't see it in the inspection anywhere. So you can see that in between each of the LIs, there is no margin or padding or whatever, and it's still apart. And that's the magic. All right, so the next thing we also want to do is I don't want to have these things underlined. And you can see by my mouse pointer icon that this whole box is clickable. So what I want to do is take away that. So let's go ahead and do it. And that is a property of the anchor tag. So that is put on there by the browser by using theirs because I didn't add it. So it's automatic from the browser. So we're just going to take it away. And that's a text decoration. And we're just going to say none. All right, we don't want any text decoration on there. File, save all, and refresh. There we go. Much nicer. So people know these are buttons by using by seeing the finger, but we might want to have it a little bit more interactive than that. So let's go ahead and see how that's done. What we're going to be using is a pseudo selector for that. So this is how it works. We want to have it so that when a person hovers over those buttons, it changes the characteristics of those buttons. And when they mouse away, it goes back to the way it was. So we're going to do nav, ul, li, a, and then just like we did with first child and last child, we're going to make it a pseudo selector, colon, and then hover. So hover is a pseudo selector, meaning like a false selector, because there's no such thing as a hover object. It's hover as an action. So now we're going to go ahead and add, what do we want to have? And what we want to do is we want to have it turn into a different blue, but not so we can't see the text on that. So again, we'll go back, and I like steel, light steel blue. We saw that right here. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to change it from white to just a little bit of blue. And let's go. I'm going to do Control C. And then do background color, Control V, and semicolon. And again, I'll take this and do RGB. And down here, I'll do light steel blue. And then I'll select it, hold down the Control key and slash, and I'll do File and Save All. And let's see what happens. So I'll go back to our page and refresh. You can see now when we mouse over, nice. So it's just going to be just a little extra. The other thing I want to do is this is the color blue of non-clicked buttons. Purple is the clicked version. And again, I've clicked on these, and that's the browser remembers it. I'd have to clear cache in order to be able to get these to go back. So what we want to do is instead of having it be purple, let's make it green instead. All right, so let's go, and again, we're going to use a pseudo selector for that. It'll be nav, ul, li, a, and then this is visited. And again, pseudo selector because there's no such thing as a visited object. It's a false object, but it means that whenever the browser says it's been visited before, it's going to turn it green. So let's go ahead and do color. And then if we want to do green, we will do this color. So Control C, Control V. Remember the color, that color property is for text. background color is for background. So RGB. And again, I'll come out here and I'll say a green and then select that text, hold down the control key and slash, and then file, save all. I can't remember what the hex codes are for colors, so having these little reminders does a good job for me. All right, and then I'll come back here and refresh, and you can see now they're green. So, meh. Um, that's it. So now everything is working. If I want to change this to green, it's the only one I have left, I'll click on that, and you can see it moved a little bit, and it turned green. And now I have no blue whatsoever because now I've tested all of them. These go to each of the anchor tags right down here. That's why when I click on contact, it doesn't move. Well, it moves a little bit, contact. And if I go to crew, it moves up a little bit. So they're just going to move up a little bit. We're going to fix that later when we start actually making those sections. Well, that's it for this one, and we'll head on to the next lesson.